Hi, how are you today? My name is Jill Wigmore-Welsh, known as Jay, and the conversation that we're going to have today it's a little bit about relapses. What's a relapse? So you might have heard the word relapse in connection with, say, somebody having something like cancer, where they have an exacerbation of their symptoms, and then they go into remission, and then they have a relapse. You might have heard it in terms of somebody who's had pain. They seem to get to a point where everything improves and then they have a relapse. So these patterns of comings and goings with symptoms and signs are pretty normal, pretty normal. Now, as a clinician who's worked with people for decades, working within the healthcare industry, working with people and talking to them about remissions is not something that you necessarily do a great deal, because when you're working in healthcare, there is always an avalanche of people wanting help for their acute episode. And once they get to a certain point, then the aim is that you give them some tools and strategies. They're discharged, they finish their course of care, and off they go with these tools to practice. And you start working with somebody else. Now, what happened in my case was that I was getting excellent results with my clients, really good results, because I use a combination of physical and mental health work and skill training. So I was getting excellent results. But then I began to find that people said to me, is it okay? But it is okay if I just book back in occasionally to see you. And at first, I found that I was saying to them, no, you don't need to do that, you're fine. And I remember the first conversation that I had with somebody, and it literally went along those lines of the person saying, well, yes, but it's okay. Is it okay for me to just give you a call? And you'll be fine, I'm sure you'll be okay. Oh yeah, but if I wanted to just give you a call and book in, just for a session, just for a check over, I was really saying no. And then I suddenly thought to myself, this person is asking if it's okay to come back and see you. And I said, well, yes, of course. And from that moment on, I changed my approach to working with people. And instead of discharging them with no safety net, with no lifeline, I said, yes, that's fine. And what began to happen is that maybe I would see those people once or twice a year. And maybe if they dropped it down to 18 months or longer, they'd suddenly have an exacerbation again. And they'd relapse. And then I would need to give them like a long course of support. But for me, as a clinician, it was something that was counterintuitive from the training that I'd been given. And it was really against the advice of what we were being told to do in terms of our clinical practice. Once we got somebody to a certain point, the idea was we discharged them. They had the tools, that was it. They were back bobbing around on the sea again and they were fine. So accepting that people have relapses is something that's really important to do, because it's kind. And it's actually a very loving and caring thing to do. So I have to think seriously when I'm working with somebody about how I approach this at the beginning of a course of support. Because if somebody comes to me, and I've had this, again, I've had the opposite. I've had people who've come to me who've asked me if I can help them achieve almost the impossible, which I've done in a very short period of time. And then what's happened is that they have got to a certain point, and I've known that really they're going to need to have to come back and see me every now and again. And they have said, no, I don't think I need that. And of course, then what's happened is they've been the ones who've gone 18 months down the road and bang, everything's come back full blown. So when I work with people, I develop a lifetime relationship with them. So they know that if they need to know that they can get on with me, is what I'm trying to say. So before you decide if you wanted to work with me, you'd need to actually give me a call have a chat, watch some of my videos, and get to decide if you think that I'm the sort of person that you'd like to work with. But this short introduction is really around accepting that relapsing is pretty much normal, and that if you've had a severe episode of signs and symptoms, whether it's physical or emotional, and you begin to start to notice that you're getting signs and symptoms again, then you are the best judge of whether or not you're going into a relapse. So make sure you maintain yourself, but do make sure that you have got a safety net there. And if you need any help, then you can send me a message on any of the social media that I'm involved in. Take care and have a lovely day, and maintain yourself and take care.